Okay, so we're back for another deep dive into Nursery of the Gods, and this book by James Cobban is really making us rethink some pretty big questions about the universe.
Yeah, it really is pushing the boundaries of like what we even consider science and philosophy these days.
It really is, and last time we were talking about, well, reality, like what even is it? And this time we're going even deeper.
Yeah, deeper into the weeds for sure.
This time we're talking about quantum entanglement, hidden dimensions. I mean, we're even going to touch on string theory.
And, if Cobbin is right about all this, these things might not be as separate as, we tend to think they are.
Okay, so let's start this deep dive with, well, the master of mind-bending physics himself, Albert Einstein.
Gotta love Einstein.
Right. So he comes up with this thought experiment about something called quantum entanglement, and he actually thought it would disprove quantum theory.
Yeah, it's funny. Einstein really wasn't a fan of some of what he saw as holes in quantum mechanics.
And he thought he found a big one with this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he thought entanglement just couldn't be right. It just didn't make sense with how he understood the universe.
I mean, can you blame him? It is pretty weird when you really think about it.
Definitely, it's not exactly intuitive, but that's kind of what quantum mechanics does to you, right? It forces you to confront all these assumptions we have about how the world works.
Right. So for those of us who haven't quite wrapped our heads around quantum mechanics yet, break it down for us. What exactly is entanglement?
Okay, so imagine, right? Imagine you've got a pair of gloves, one right hand, one left hand.
Classic image.
Classic for a reason. So you take these gloves and you separate them, like really separate them. Send one to, I don't know, the other side of the universe. Keep one here with you. Now, you look at the one you kept. Let's say it's the right hand glove.
Okay, makes sense so far.
So instantly, the other glove, the one billions of light years away, has to be the left-hand glove, right?
Yeah, of course, that's just logic.
Right, but with entangled particles, it's not just that, the other one's state. It's like the other particle becomes that state the instant you observe the first one, even though they're separated by these unimaginable distances.
Okay, that's the part where it gets a little spooky.
A little. That's where it gets mind-blowingly spooky. It's like they have this instantaneous, invisible connection, totally bypassing the whole speed of light thing, which Einstein was, pretty sure was the universe's speed limit.
Yeah, hence the whole spooky action at a distance thing. He was really bothered by that.
He really thought it would be the thing to bring down quantum theory, but
it backfired.
Yeah.
Big time.
Because turns out the experiments kept proving entanglement to be real. So then the question becomes, okay, if it's not happening faster than light, then how is this communication happening? And that's where this idea of a non-local dimension comes into play.
Okay, hold on. You're saying we need a whole other dimension to explain this. Like, we're not talking about extra spatial dimensions, right? We're talking about something else entirely.
Right, exactly. It's not just, up, down, left, right, forward, back kind of dimensions. It's more like this hidden layer of reality that underlies everything we experience.
Okay, I think I need another analogy here.
Okay, how about this? Imagine a tapestry.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You see the front, all the beautiful threads, the colors, the design, right?
Yeah.
But on the back, there are all these threads connecting everything, holding it all together, right? That you can't see from the front.
Right, the hidden structure, you could say.
Exactly. And that's kind of like this non-local dimension. It's this hidden structure where the rules of our everyday reality, especially space and time, maybe don't apply in the same way. And that's where entanglement might be happening.
So you're saying this dimension, this tapestry backing, it can influence things in our reality even if we can't see it directly.
Exactly. And here's the thing. It's not just a cool idea. It's backed up by experiments. Like way back in 1981, this physicist named Elaine Aspect, he actually did an experiment with these entangled photons, these particles of light.
And he proved it.
Proved that this spooky action was real. No other way to explain the results.
Wow. Okay, so let me get this straight. Einstein sets out to disprove quantum theory, accidentally gives us a path to proving it even more, and suddenly we're talking about hidden dimensions.
And it gets even wilder because then we bring in string theory, which is a completely different way of trying to understand how the universe works on the most fundamental level.
Okay, so we have quantum physics pointing towards this hidden dimension. Now, you mentioned another theory that seems to back this up, string theory. What is string theory, and what does it have to do with any of this?
So string theory. Man, it's a wild one.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It really is. But basically, it says that everything in the universe, all the particles, all the forces, all of it comes from these tiny vibrating strings. And these strings, they're one-dimensional, which is already kind of hard to imagine. And they're so small that we can't even, dream of observing them directly with our current technology. It's like trying to see an atom with a telescope. It's just not going to happen.
Okay, so we've got these tiny, tiny strings vibrating. So then what? How does that create the universe we see?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting, right? Because string theory suggests that space and time, the way we experience them, they might not be fundamental. They might emerge from these strings and their vibrations.
Wait, are you saying space and time as we know them are like side effects? They weren't always there?
That's one way to think about it.
Yeah.
String theorists like Brian Greene, he's written a ton on this, they suggest that space and time, they kind of emerge from the interactions of these strings, kind of like how a whole picture emerges from the pixels on your screen.
Okay, this is where I have to stop you for a second because my brain is trying to catch up. If space and time aren't fundamental, what was there before? Was it just strings vibrating in nothingness?
It's mind-boggling, isn't it? Like, how do you even begin to imagine a world, a reality, without any dimensions at all, and then suddenly, bam, space and time pop into existence because these tiny strings are interacting in just the right way, creating the universe as we know it.
And we're saying this pre-universe place, this, I don't even know what to call it. It might be the same hidden dimension that allows for things like quantum entanglement.
That's what Cobbin is suggesting, yeah. I mean, we're wading into some seriously mind-blowing territory here, but it's one of the most exciting possibilities in physics today, It could rewrite everything we think we know about the universe.
I know, right? Makes you wonder if we even know what reality even is, if it's not just, space and time like we always thought.
Right. It's like, whoa, what if everything we thought was fundamental is not? Okay, let's try to follow Cobbin's logic here. He's saying that both quantum mechanics, with this whole entanglement thing, and string theory, with the vibrating strings, are pointing to the same idea, that there's a deeper level of reality, something beyond our normal senses, where all the usual rules, especially about space and time, maybe they don't apply.
Yeah, and if that's even remotely possible, I mean, think about what that opens up. It's like, what if this non-local dimension, this tapestry backing, it's not just some empty space? What if there's more to it? Like what? Give me some examples, because at this point, I'm just trying to keep up.
Okay, well, think about consciousness. It's this huge mystery, right? I mean, science has no idea how to really explain it, how it comes from the physical matter of our brains.
It's like the final frontier, some people say.
Totally. So what if, and here's where we really go out there, what if consciousness isn't limited by space and time the way, our bodies are?
Wait, are you going where I think you're going with this? Are you saying, like, could our minds, our consciousness be capping into this non-local dimension? Is that why we have things like, I don't know, premonitions or all those things that seem like psychic that we can't explain with normal science?
It's a pretty wild thought, right? But if this non-local dimension is real, and if consciousness somehow operates on that level of reality, then yeah, all those things we think of as impossible, maybe they're not so impossible after all.
Because our minds would be outside of the system, kind of. They wouldn't be bound by the same rules.
Exactly. And if that's the case, then our minds could be interacting with information and events in ways that just seem inconceivable right now. Like imagine being able to access information from anywhere in space and time because your mind is no longer limited by those things.
Oh, okay, hold up a second. So you're saying our minds could be reaching across time and space because they're not really confined by time and space in the first place. My brain's hurting a little.
I know, it's a lot. And to be fair, Cobbin doesn't say this is definitely how it works, but he asks the question, if this non-local dimension is real, then could it be that consciousness is the key to understanding it? Could it be that our minds are the key to unlocking this whole other level of reality?
It would definitely change everything. I mean, the way we see the universe, ourselves, everything.
Maybe that's what we need, though. Maybe we've been trying to force consciousness to fit into our current understanding of the universe, instead of considering that maybe, just maybe, our understanding of the universe needs to expand to accommodate consciousness.
It's a pretty radical idea, but then again, so is the idea of a dimension beyond space and time.
Exactly, and that's what I love about Cobbin. He's not afraid to go there, to ask the really big, uncomfortable questions that make us rethink everything.
Yeah, he's definitely given us a lot to think about. Nursery of the Gods is really living up to its name, huh? It's like a whole nursery of mind-blowing ideas.
It really is, and honestly, that's what makes it so exciting to read. It challenges us to step outside of our comfort zones, to consider possibilities that seem impossible, even crazy at first glance, but then the more you think about them, the more you realize maybe, just maybe, there's something there.
So where does this leave us? We've gone from Einstein being totally skeptical of quantum entanglement to this idea that our minds could be connected to a whole dimension beyond space and time as we know it.
It's a lot to take in, that's for sure. But, Cobbin doesn't just throw these mind-blowing ideas at us and just leave us hanging.
Right. He does bring it back down to earth a bit.
He does. He wants us to really think about what it all means, Like, what does this mean for us, for how we live our lives? If this is all true, should we be living differently?
Okay, yeah. That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in the theoretical, but what are the practical implications of all this? Like, if this is real, does it change how we should live our lives?
Right. That's the million-dollar question. And I think Cobbin would probably say, yeah, it might. Like, he seems to think that if consciousness operates beyond the limits of space and time, then we probably have a lot more influence on our reality than we realize.
Okay, so you're talking about, like, the power of our thoughts to shape the world around us. Is that getting into kind of, woo-woo territory?
It might sound like that, sure, but think about it in the context of what we've been talking about, right?
Yeah.
If our minds are somehow tapping into this non-local dimension, this realm of pure potential where everything's connected, well, then our thoughts, our intentions, our beliefs,
Yeah.
they could be interacting with the very fabric of reality, right?
Okay, so it's not just about wishing for something and then it magically appears. It's more like our minds, on a deeper level, are always participating in the creation of reality itself.
Exactly. And that's kind of a mind-blowing idea, right? That we're not just these passive observers in some predetermined reality. We're actually active participants in shaping our own experience, maybe even shaping reality itself.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot to process.
It really is.
It kind of makes you want to pay a little more attention to your thoughts, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, if our minds are this powerful, if they're actually influencing reality on such a fundamental level, then understanding how consciousness works, figuring out how to tap into those non-local connections, it's not just some abstract philosophical pursuit anymore. It's essential, right?
Mm.
It's crucial to understanding who we are, what our potential is, what our place is in the universe.
It's like a Cubbon saying, hey, maybe reality's a lot more fluid than you think. And your mind might be the key to understanding how it all works.
Yeah, and that's something we could spend a lifetime exploring. Definitely. Well, that is a pretty incredible note to end on.
Right.
We've covered some serious ground in this deep dive. Big thanks to James Cobbin for giving us so much to ponder with Nursery of the Gods. To everyone listening, if you haven't already, check out the book. It's a wild ride. And until next time, keep those minds open, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to unlock the secrets of the universe.
And maybe even make it a better place while you're at it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.